to our March 30th City Council meeting. I am so glad you folks are here, especially for the City Council, because I can't think of anything else going on tonight that would have drawn you here otherwise. So I'm touched, so thank you. So we are starting this meeting late at 6:02, and at this point I would love for you to join us in the saying of the Pledge of Allegiance, if you can stand. Together, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, with that behind us, we'll move on to roll call, please.
Councilmember Farrar-Rivas.
Present.
Vice Mayor Lowe. Councilmember Ding.
Present.
Councilmember Gurney.
Here.
Mayor Wellander.
Here.
Thank you.
And there was no closed session, so there is nothing to report. And at this point, I'd like to ask my fellow members if they would approve the agenda as written, or if they would like to make some suggestions of changes.
I move approval of the agenda.
I'll
second it.
Great, and we're going to keep this short tonight, so all those in favor say aye.
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 Passed unanimously. So with that, now we're at the point where we are able to engage the public with an opportunity to speak to us on items that are not appearing on the agenda this evening. And in so doing, please come to the podium. You will have 2 minutes, and unfortunately, we will not be able to respond and or take any action on any items that are not on the agenda. And we normally take up to 10 for the first go around. And, and if there is more than 10, then there'll be an opportunity for speakers 11, et cetera, at the tail end of our council meeting this evening. So if you want to queue up and come to the podium, identify yourself, it's all yours. Oh my goodness. Oh, good.
Hello all, my name is Rod Marymore, and I'm the president of Music in Place. And I think the reason a lot of folks are here today, aside from wanting to see the inner workings of the city of Sonoma, is to honor a good friend of ours and a good friend of our community, Tommy Thomsen, who is hiding in the back.
So,
and
can I interrupt you just 1 minute? Because we actually have formalized this on the agenda,
yes,
there is going to be an excellent opportunity for you to come back.
Can I come back?
You can come back, and I will not deduct these seconds from your 2 minutes.
I appreciate that.
No problem.
I'll be back.
Good. So then, is there anybody that wishes to speak on items not on the agenda? Well, seeing none, this is probably the first in quite a few sessions that no one's come forward, so we'll move on. Back at the dais, do we have any meeting dedications this evening? We're seeing none, so we're going to move on. And at this point, we are given an opportunity to share with you any meetings and or commissions that we participated in since our last meeting. So at this point, I'd love to have my fellow members report, and please.
Yes, thank you. So on March 24th, I attended a special finance committee meeting. There's nothing to report out, but we'll hear more about that later. On March 28th, this last Saturday, I attended the No Kings March, which was one of over 3,000 events across the country. It was organized by Wake Up Sonoma, Sonoma Valley Democrats, and the indivisible Sonoma County. Speakers included Supervisor Hermosillo, many other speakers, but also Sonoma High School GSA member Melinda Edwards. So you had the full range of students and politicians, and I think it did achieve the goal, which was a festive, peaceful demonstration around community connection. So that was great to be there. It was very festive. I also attended on March 30th, I guess that's today, North Bay Watershed Association introductory meeting with their ED, Andy Rogers. I'm just beginning to be on this committee. I've attended 2 meetings, but this was the first introductory meeting. And just for those people that are not aware of what North Bay Watershed Association does, is they basically facilitate partnerships across the political boundaries to promote stewardship of watershed resource. And they work with Napa, Marin, Solano, portions of Solano County and Sonoma County. And wanted to let everybody know that their annual conference is April 9th. Tickets are still available to go. The name of it is Meeting This Moment in a Climate of Change. And that will be from 9 to 4 on April 9th at the College of Marin Jonas Center, which is in, I think of it as Ignacio. Some people call it Novato, but it's still Ignacio to me. And this is their 25th anniversary, and as I said, you can go to nbwatershed.org/event/2026 if you want to get tickets to attend it. It's going to be a very interesting day. Many presentations about our watershed and, you know, all things water in the North Bay, how it works and how that wonderful water serves us. And then I also want to just do a quick celebration of the limit line. As a walker in the city, I just would like to celebrate the limit line. Everybody knows what the limit line is. It's that line you're supposed to stop at when you come to an intersection where there is a stop sign. And what it does is it allows for walkers like myself to safely cross. And I think it's just good for everybody to realize that there is the crosswalk and then there's the limit line, which is the limit line is where you stop. In the middle of the crosswalk is generally not the best place to stop because you want to be able to look for walkers. Anyway, so want to do that. And then last but not least, today was, and not to get this all started early, but my last weekly meeting with City Manager David Ewan before he goes on to run our county. Just wanted to thank you. Learned so much from you. Was a great meeting as usual. Many great conversations happened and have happened in those Monday meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff?
Thank you, Mayor. This time I have the 4 meetings I want to report. First one is the March 19th. That is the second day last city council meeting. I was attending Zero Waste to Sonoma. This organization used to be a Sonoma County Waste Management Agency. Right now they changed the name, Zero Waste to Sonoma. We discussed about, and the fee will be increased for those organic disposal fees, increased just only by less than 1% and several cents. But we already realized this is an increase. So we will very carefully review it. For sure, no any arrows if it is not necessary. And also we approved the early prepared 2026-2027 final budget. And according to our board members' suggestion, they increased reserve the fund a little bit to meet those kind of emergency use and to avoid any unexpected meeting for all members, board members will come from the county, gather together. It's not a wise decision. So we got unanimously approved for the budget, and also we approved credit agreement using our county's fund because Zero Waste to Sonoma are preparing a big project for those hazard waste treatment facilities, and we roughly need $16 million. Most of the fund we have been allocated, but just in case, so we approved line of the credit for this 16 million. This is the first meeting. The second meeting is Sonoma County Mayors and City Council and Association Legislative Committee. Basically, during the VISTA meeting, we review current and state legislative 12 different bills. We get an updated for each bill, what is current status, what is Cal City's position, what are they for our local legislators and the state senator and also assembly. So then finally, we choose 7 of different bills and 2 support. We vote unanimously. These bills I would like to share with everyone. SB 922, vehicle, local agency charges. AB 1708, homeless housing assistance and prevention program. AB 1866, the California Disaster Assignment and Assistance Act. This one was proposed by Chris Rogers. AB 1761, that is electricity calculations methods, updated disclosure. AB 1699, Good Fire Act, prescribing the fire liability pilot program. Next one is the SB 299, that is California Environmental Quality Act. AB 2517, the fire safety, fire hazard severity zones. That is the total 7 bills we want to support. Any comments and inputs, and you can directly contact our association, and we will get an opportunity for you to gather your thinking and your thoughts for sure, and your voice could be heard during this legislation process. This is second meeting. The third meeting is last Thursday. I went to Orange County for the Cal City's Policy Committee, that is Revenue and Taxation. We discussed Initiative 25006, and because basically this is the bill just want to protect the Proposition 13. We have a lot of the discussion. We have a lot of the controversy issues. We share a lot of the ideas each other, and also we discuss about the state tax working groups report, and also we got the updated for the legislative budget. I think I would like to stop here. Too many, although I didn't report the previous city council meeting, and also this afternoon I was attending Groundwater Sustainability Agency meeting, and we approved preliminary budget. And the big difference is last year we have 2.7 revenue and income, but this year we just only have $250,000 and grants, because the grants and is on uncertainty. So that is very pity. So we just balanced our service provider and our revenue. And the last thing is counting the groundwater agencies just published groundwater and well use manual. It was happened first time during the last 20 years. This afternoon we look at it, we really like it, and also we can find a soft copy on the website. And also I already asked the county staff bring some hard copy to our the city hall. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Thank you. On this side. John? Very good. Well, I'll wrap up real quick. On the 21st, there was another community gathering at our historic cemetery for raking leaves, pulling weeds, and it was an opportunity to really, again, be reminded how special our cemetery is. And as I understand it from our new Parks Director, we will be aggressively soliciting friends of the cemetery in the not-so-distant future, where you too will have a more prominent role in how to save, or I shouldn't say save, how to improve our incredible resource. On the 23rd, I had the opportunity to attend a roundtable that was focused on affordable housing and was hosted by Mike Thomsen, attended by Rebecca Hermosillo, as well as a number of players that are involved, including Burbank Housing, and it was something that the discussion basically was there are changes in the wind, and then how can we go forward and best again accomplish the creation of some affordable housing in our valley. So it was I won't say discouraging, but it just means that we're going to have to be creative going forward. The last item I have attended on, again, is the Homeless Coalition Board. The focus continues to be, with the anticipation of cutback in funds, how can we continue to keep the programs we've worked hard to establish? How can we keep them going? So with that, I'll wrap that up at our end, and we will now turn to our city manager's last update. Mr. Gewen.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I have a list of items here I'd like to just update you on. First, I want to thank the Public Works crews for completing 7 now, I believe, ADA ramps around town. The three most recent were over on 3rd Street West, and that's in preparation for the Go Sonoma CIP project, which will establish a bike boulevard down West 3rd. So thank you to the crews for getting those done. As you came in this afternoon and saw the construction over at on the Field of Dreams here, a lot of work's being done by city staff and the Field of Dreams team to fix some ADA improvements, stormwater improvements, and some grading improvements to help with the transition of Transcendence moving over to this new location, and to enhance the Field of Dreams area for future use for other uses as well. So that project's about 50% complete and will be done on time for opening night. Tomorrow, Local Fest 2026 is happening at the Vintage House from 5:30 to 7:30. It's hosted by the Chamber of Commerce, and it's an interactive showcase highlighting Sonoma Valley's newest businesses and nonprofit organizations. It's free. You can drop in and check that out. Discretionary funding applications, which is where we provide grants to local nonprofits that provide community benefit activities throughout the year. Those are currently open. Those applications are due this Friday, so please, if you're a nonprofit or you want to host a community event, and there's information on the website, please check that out and get your applications in by this Friday, April 3rd. Also on April 3rd is the deadline to enter the 6th annual Earth Day, The Power of Water photo contest. So you remember last year were the trees, so this year is all about water. Those will be displayed here in the council chambers after that is over. The Easter Bunny is going to be visiting the plaza this Saturday on April 4th. The annual Children's Easter egg hunt is happening. It starts at 10 a.m. sharp, so I think you need to get there early because I've seen pictures of the chaos that reigns when they left the ropes down. Treasure Artist Reception honoring Ada Limon is Thursday, April 16th, and that's going to be in the plaza at the amphitheater, so that'll be a great event. Everyone is welcome to attend that. You can get information on our website about that as well. And then, as you mentioned, Mayor, about affordable housing, the Alta Madrone Affordable Housing waitlist opens on April 1st. So that is, the Alta Madrone in Sonoma will open April 1st and remain open through April 15th. It's a 48-unit apartment community located on 1269 Broadway, has 1, 2, and 3-bedroom units, and it's managed by Satellite Affordable Housing Association. So please check that out. We have information on our website. There's 2 ways to apply for those affordable housing units, online or in paper. You can go to the website to get information about how to apply for either of those. But again, April 1st it opens and it closes on April 15th. And as Mayor, as you mentioned, this is my last meeting with you all, and I do want to thank you for your leadership as a council, your professionalism, and constantly demonstrating how working together we can actually get a lot done in this community. So thank you for that. It's been noticed, I know, by me, by staff, and the community It's been a wonderful opportunity to work for you and be with you. And thank you to my cohort, my city manager here, and the staff behind me. Just thank you so much.
Thank you. Now we'll segue over to our attorney, and if he has nothing, we'll move on.
Nothing this evening, thanks.
Very good, thank you. So I believe we are now turning to the event that most of you are here for, and that is for a presentation and a celebration and honor for Tommy Thomsen. And I think that the way I'd like to conduct it this evening is, instead of me reading the certificate of recognition first, and given the number of people here, I think we will recognize, maybe embarrass Mr. Thomsen, but have you come to the podium and share comments about our very talented musician, and we'll go from there.
All right. How's everybody? What a wonderful achievement. I'll tell you, how humble. You know, it is because of another fella in this room right now that I started out musically, and he was the guy who paid for my original piano lessons. He's 101 years old. He'll be 102 on July 10th, and he was born here in 1924, and I was born here in 1948. Why don't you say hi to Mr. Fred Thomsen back there? He does. They ask me when we go to breakfast, what's your brother want to eat, you know? So, and I had to thank my mom, because my mom is really my musical influence. A lot of you don't know this, but my mom was a boogie-woogie piano player. And she played house parties, you know, Ralph Holtz and different Mr. Bill, you know, the hairdresser. And they'd have these wonderful parties, and she'd go play Little Stride and Little Boogie. And I started taking lessons around 7 years old, and by the time I was 12, I could do her boogie woogie. And I discovered it's a great way to get girls to sit next to you on the bench, let me tell you. Did a lot of birthday parties in those days. And that sort of kicked me off, you know. I was my dad's little bartender. You know, I was get him a beer, get him a highball, get him a martini, not too much vermouth, and then get on that piano and play some boogie. And so I'm just was very surprised that, and thank you to Karen and Bill for everything you've done for us. We have a little club that we bought 8 years ago in Texas called the Church of Western Swing. And the church, could you stand and show your T-shirts, ladies, both of you? That's our, and COWS. It's a great acronym, Church of Western Swing, right there. And it's the last weekend of April every year. It's been on for 56 years now. And the town is actually around 300 people. And it goes to between 3,000 and 5,000 to celebrate Western Swing and Bob Wills in particular. And I think that our church, we bought it 8 years ago, and we did the remodel on it. My partner, Freya Horn, and I did, I couldn't have done this without her, I'll tell you that. And this is our 8th year going down the motorhome. And so we restored the living area to the church. We kind of left the church as it was and cleaned that up a little bit, but we still need, construction stuff done to the church to get it back to where it originally was. And so we have benefits every year. We'll be having one in July 18th at Sebastiani Theater. And so we hope you all keep an eye out for that and come down. And the Queen of Boogie Woogie, Miss Wendy DeWitt, who I gave her very first piano lesson to when she was about 8 years old, and at Rita Booth's house at Glen Ellen, right across from the Rustic Inn. This is a little bit of history, ladies and gentlemen. Some of you might not. The Rustic Inn where Jack London used to drink, that was where I played piano there. I'd show up at 5 and leave at 2 a.m., And I was the piano guy with a, long neck on each end, and then the shots of Jack Daniels all the way down. And thank God now I have, I'm proud to say, 38 years of sobriety, which I'm one of the lucky ones, I'm one of the lucky ones, and I've had wonderful sponsors. It's a great program, and I encourage anybody who, wants to stop drinking. And I understand, Squire, that they're having a lot of non-alcoholic wines coming out. Gen X stopped drinking. A whole generation. Anyway, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Do you have any questions?
Excuse me, that's my job.
I didn't think so. And we're having an after party at Murphy's in the snug and back. And I've got a couple of mics back there. Dave Aguilar is going to come down. Dennis Cordelis, Jeff Falconer, John Williams is going to come and play. I've known John since he's been 8 years old. This is a wonderful place to grow up. And I was in the Merchant Marine for about 37 years and traveled all over the world. And my father put me in there so he could get rid of me, So I had a legitimate job, and I took my guitar with me everywhere I went. And, started busking like Ramblin' Jack Elliott. And I talked to Jack the other day. He's 92 now. And he loves ships like I love ships, going to sea. My grandfather was a sailor from Denmark, and he showed up here in 1906 and was in the earthquake. And he came up here, and he had the beer distributorship. So when I was in high school, we had bottle, keg, and can. And we could deliver, my cousin Larry and I would deliver down at Steiner's while they were watching the ball game, So anyway, I'll love you. Yeah, don't forget Wednesday, we're having April 1st. We're having a celebration, the annual celebration for KSVY, to which I have a program, Swinging Out West, Fridays 2 to 3. And I play a lot of my buddies that play Western swing. And how many people know actually what Western swing is? All right, a few. Look up Bob Wells and the Texas Playboys, because he was a musical icon that invented a style of music. And that music was aimed mostly at poor people. And he really focused on giving them some happiness and some joy just for a little while out of the misery of their lives. And I talked to people back in Oklahoma who, walked a couple of miles barefoot with their good shoes in their hand, just so their shoes wouldn't be all muddy and screwed up by the time they're dancing to Bob, And the bandstand would be lined with babies. Because families were welcome. And then the couples would be dancing and their kids right there on the bandstand. And it was quite a history for Bob Wills. And I fell in love with him really early in the 70s and pursued. I'm in 3 Western Swing Halls of Fame. And I won the Academy of Western Artists Will Rogers Award down in 2019 in Fort Worth, Texas. And thank you. And to be a Texan, when Freya and I got to church, I thought, oh boy, here we go, We already got 2 strikes against us, Democrats from California. Boy, we're screwed, man. But, they love Freya and they love me, because if you're dedicated to Western swing to the degree that we are, everything else disappears. There's no political talk at all. And the group of musicians who show up are some of the original, they're the second wave of the original players. And it's a historical thing. It's 4 days of, there's a certain spirituality to that music, and where it brings thousands and thousands of people together, And so anyway, thank you once again for my Lifetime Achievement Award. I've been the musical accompaniment to my entire life.
Not quite. I want an opportunity for a few from the public to speak and compliment you. So you can take your compliments maybe back into this seat, but then you'll be coming back to get your award.
Okay.
Super. And then I just need clarity. I'm still relatively young at the mayor. Was I supposed to give him 2 minutes? And I'm confused. I thought we were giving the award, and bet he turned his back on us. I'm not sure. Can we rescind that? Is that possible? So with that in mind, please step forward and let's be gracious, both with statements and time.
Good evening. My name is Steve Page, and I have the privilege of being the board president for KSVY Media, where, by the way, you could be watching this meeting on Channel 27, or you could flip up to Channel 28 and be watching the Lady Dragons across the street playing softball. So, commercial over. We are obviously KSVY 91.3 FM radio. We have 65 volunteer hosts that provide the content, and there is nobody that we are prouder to have on the air than Tommy Thomsen, swinging out west every Friday, 2 to 3. Don't miss it. Thanks. Congratulations to Tommy.
Karen Collins, and this is with an apology to poetry lovers everywhere. There was a young boy named Tommy. He got music lessons from his mommy, and he could play just about everything, but his music of choice was Western swing. So with his keyboard and his guitar, he did roam, but he always called Sonoma home. He played his music far and wide, and it became a source of local pride. He made for himself quite a name and is inducted into several halls of fame. He's brought our valley so much joy, so thank you for honoring the hometown boy.
Hello again. I'm still Rod Marymore, and I'm still president of Music and Plays, I think. I hope so. Anyway, I just wanted to acknowledge you all and everyone on staff here for taking the time and recognizing how important music and the arts are to our culture. I think it's a really big deal for a city to step up and to be very public about it and to acknowledge our treasures like Tommy and Ada Limon and the people that we really make a point to bring them out and step up and do it. I also want to acknowledge the city's support for the live music that is presented in the summers that many, many people come to. I think a lot of folks here have been coming to these concerts. And we all know that and Tommy represents this maybe as much or more than anyone, and that is that music and the arts bring us together in a way that nothing else does. It's a great equalizer, and all the different parts and components of our community join together to have a good time and have a positive experience. So thank you, city and staff, for taking the time for this acknowledgement for Tommy Thomsen, who certainly deserves it in a very big way. Much appreciation.
Those are some hard acts to follow. I'm Janice King. I'm the president of the Sonoma Valley Jazz Society. And I want to thank you for recognizing Tommy as a musician, as Rod said. But I also want to thank Tommy for bringing Western Swing to Sonoma, and also his kindness, his joy, and he's fun to be with, and he's a great show. So we've been really blessed here in Sonoma. Thank you, Tommy.
Good evening. My name is Ronnie Joe Grooms. I'm the program director at KSVY Sonoma, so I have the great privilege of, there's kind of a revolving door of amazing human beings who come through every week, who have great histories, but of, as Steve said, like legends like Tommy Thomsen, who wander in and play music for us for an hour every week, and I get the story and the culture and the history, both local and the whole scene. It's an amazing and quite an honor for me to be a part of KSVY, and Tommy makes me feel that way each week. And I just wanted to point out, yes, we turned 22 years old on April 1st. It is Community Radio Day in Sonoma. Tommy Thomsen's set starts at 6 p.m., so put an alarm on your phone for that. It's open house all day. Everyone's invited to come on down, but the real party's on the radio. Just keep it locked, 91.3 FM. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Val Harristy, and I just wanted to share my trip to Turkey, Texas. The first bit of counsel I got from Tommy was, shut up about Jesus, guns, and Trump. Don't say a word about it. And I figured by the time I got there, I came into town, it was pretty clear that was spot on good advice. My friend and I, Scott, flew into Amarillo. He said, I want to get the best cowboy hat money can buy. We went to Cavender's. The hat guy came out with a box. It was probably worth $500, opened it up, put on white gloves, handed it to my friend Scott. And Scott went to put it on. He says, no, don't touch it. Anyway, it was a Stetson Te Amo. It was $5,500. So we bought a straw hat or a palm hat. We drove down to Turkey, and they got two kinds of dirt down in Turkey. They got ground dirt. That's dirt on the ground. And they got blow dirt. And that's the dirt that blows on you. Tommy had a very good friend down there. His name was Gary Beaver, I think. Gary Beaver. He was what kind of Indian was he? Cherokee. He was a Cherokee. And I don't know if I got it right, but I think he had just recently got out of the big house down there. And Tommy says, Gary and Bubbles have invited us down for breakfast this morning. And I said, well, Tommy, we just had breakfast. He says, we're going to have another breakfast because you don't say no to Gary Beaver. So we went down there. We had another breakfast, and Gary Beaver says, you guys want to go up on the roof? We said, well, why would we want to go up on the roof, Gary? And he looked at me and he said, to look around. So we went outside, and he went into his garage, and he brought out this ladder that was absolutely falling apart. It was duct taped together. It was a mess. And I looked at Gary, and I said, Gary, where did you get this ladder? And he looked at me, and he said, at the dump. This is Turkey, Texas. I'm going to tell you, Tommy told me, Val, if you come, you'll never forget it. And I'm telling you, that's the truth. And I would encourage anybody, if you want to, people talk about lifestyle, but if you really want to understand lifestyle, you got to see it, touch it, smell it, feel it. And Go to Turkey, Texas. Go to the Church of Western Swing. You'll never forget it. Thank you.
I think we'll offer up one more opportunity to pass compliments on, and then I believe that with the celebration at, I believe it was Murphy's, that the flow of compliments will continue, but we also have some business to take care of up here, so please.
This will be short and sweet. My name's Dave Aguilar, and I've known Tommy for many, many moons. And I'm just so glad that his talent and his skill level is being appreciated and recognized. And Tom and I, we've been on a couple of road trips together, and some of those stories aren't really for public consumption, but I just want to say he's a dear friend, and I'm so glad for him, and I cherish his friendship. All right, Tommy.
Now, before, Mr. Thomsen, if you do want to come forward, before I read this certificate of recognition, and I hope I don't regret this, we're struggling today with trying to figure out what's true and what's not, and we know that there's a lot of hyperbole expressed across the country, including Washington, D.C. So, although I'm not a skeptic of what I've just heard about your talent, I think you need to share one song in front of all of us.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Tommy Thomsen. I'll be your entertainment tonight.
One song.
How about a hand for the mayor? All right. And I don't know if I mentioned him before, but there was a guy in this valley, a musician, that there'll never be another musician like him. And he would never cease to amaze me by the things that he could do on stage. And he was mind-blowingly talented. And he was really the salt of it. When he found Sonoma, he just wanted to be here. I mean, he was, and I'm speaking about the one and only Norton Buffalo. And his son Eli is here tonight, and it's certainly nice to see him. Should we bother tuning? I've had good luck and bad luck, and no luck it's true, but I always get lucky with you. I've been turned down and turned round when the bars are closed at 2, but I always get lucky with you. I've had 2 strikes against me most all of the time. And when it's down to just a phone call, well, I'm minus a dime. I've had good days and bad days, but when the day is through, I always get lucky with you. I've searched all my life for that pot of gold. At the rainbow's end, I found you again. 'Cause I always get lucky with you. You know I do, baby. Thank you.
City of Sonoma to give you this certificate of recognition, declaring March 30th, 2026, Tommy Thomsen Day. So I, Ron Wellander, Mayor of the City of Sonoma, do hereby proclaim March 30th, 2026 as Tommy Thomsen Day in this city. Your many contributions to our community are recognized and greatly appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Photo. There we go.
Photo op.
And have fun at Murphy's.
That's showbiz, folks. See you at Murphy's.
Just for the record.
We still have some members of the audience left.
Yes, okay. Well, as soon as we will come back. Yeah, we're back. So at this point, we're going to move on to the consent calendar. These are items that are considered routine and will be acted on in one single motion unless anybody up here would like to pull one of the items 7-1 through 7-8. So, anyone wish to pull anything? I see no positive heads saying yes. So, with that, may I have a motion?
I move approval of the consent calendar.
Bob.
Go ahead, second it, then we'll go
I'll
public.
second it.
Okay, at this point, we're going to try to correct my mistake. We'd like to give the public an opportunity to come forward and speak on the consent calendar motion or whatever. Excuse me while I...
But this one is too hot.
I've heard of getting the hook, but I've never seen the falling chair. But anyway, so nobody coming from the public, so we've had a motion and a second, and at this point, may we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Farrar-Rivas,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lowe. Yes. Councilmember Ding.
Yes.
Councilmember Gurney.
Yes.
Mayor Wellander.
Yes,
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
thank you. Now, moving on to our regular calendar for the City Council. This evening, we are going to start with 9.1, which is to adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a 3-year contract to amend with Flock Safety for automated license plate reader. And I do believe our speaker has approached the podium, and so at this point, we will give you the time.
Mayor, council, staff, city manager, I'm proud to present this in your last meeting, and sorry this is your last meeting. It's been a great time. And community and everybody else, staff that's here. I am talking to you about the ALPR technology, our Flock contract, and I'm going to do this a little differently. And I presented this in 2023 to council. I actually had a public meeting. I believe Councilmember Gurney was the only community member that actually showed up at that just to sort of learn about it. Outside of that, we didn't have any community concerns of the system because it was still relatively new in the eyes of the public. Today, it's a different story. There's a lot of stuff going on nationally that's caused angst with public databases, and reasonably so. And so I would like to start out by addressing the elephant in the room, the issue of privacy and how we protect the data that we are currently collecting, as we have been since approximately October of 2023, when our first camera was applied, which is with Flock. So the first thing I want to talk about is SB 34, which is how it's commonly referred to, but in reality, it was codified into the California Civil Code 1798.90.52, and specific to that section, it talks about how we retain data and what we have to provide if somebody wants to know what we're doing. This is a very protected form of data that is well regulated by the state, by our policies, and by Flock itself, and the security that we have in this collection of data. The other section is 1798.90.53. This is a little bit more specific into who has access to our data and how we manage that access through our internal system that we log into, and we do all of our law enforcement services through it. Another section is California Government Code 7284.8. This is what became of SB 54, which is immigration related. And this essentially says that anything that we collect in here can't be shared with the federal government for any government for immigration purposes. And then our policy 430, so Sonoma County Sheriff's Office policy, and I don't need to remind you guys, but as a contract city within the Sheriff's Office, our city law enforcement policies are county Sheriff's Office policies as well. The county policy 430 is our automated license plate recognition policy, and Flock is not directly named in that because it's not the company, it's the system that has the policy. And our policy in this 430.4 is about releasing of ALPR data, and the fact that we cannot, it is a violation of government code, as I just showed you, and of civil code, and as well policy. And the policy expands and it says out of state and federal. So this is a slide that I actually presented back in 2023, and I've just made some amendments to it because I kind of want to highlight the fact that back in 23, when I first presented this, there were some claims made by Flock, and I made the same presentation to you that Flock could do certain things for us, and it has done those things, and that's what I want to talk about. So it directly assists law enforcement. I refer to license plate readers as the greatest technological advancement for law enforcement since the cell phone. And if you don't know, your cell phone is utilized in every criminal investigation that we do when you're involved in some way. The next best thing that we have had is this flock technology, or license plate reading technology, which didn't start in 23 when we began this. It actually began many years before. I believe around 2007 is when California agencies started using versions of it. 2010 is when I personally started becoming very interested in it based on some crimes I was investigating. But coming to fruition into the current technology we have with Flock, obviously in Sonoma in 2023. How it works is that each camera, and I'll show you images of those cameras in a moment, you've maybe seen them around town, creates a digital thumbprint of the vehicle. It is not a person, it is factually just the vehicle itself. The database can then be searched by us in law enforcement, and it allows us the opportunity to solve cases when some piece of vehicle information is known, but not all. The concerns that we received in the early days of this, and we still have, our policy, or Sheriff's Office Policy 430, which I brought up, does address those security issues and safety concerns of data access, but as well, the only people that have access to our system are those that have California Department of Justice CLETS access, which is a law enforcement telecommunications system that we have to be vetted through. We are tested every year, on that system, and we have to have authorization to have access to that. We hold the same standard on our automated license plate reader system. There's no personal information attributed to any of the civilian flock database, the ALPR database. It is specific to the vehicle, and we don't allow any out-of-state sharing of this information and no sharing with the federal government. We have been performing audits on our system since the very first camera was installed, and those audits are done on an internal basis, and as well, we've been receiving public record requests on our data since the inception of our cameras, and we have been providing that for about 1.5 years to watchdog agencies across the state, including several universities. The data of every single search on our database has been released publicly to these organizations, and they have scrutinized our data for some time. We have not had any violations of any kind with our data. So the current reality is we can't be everywhere all the time. Law enforcement can't. There's only two deputies assigned to the police department on any given shift. For them to be expected to be all around the city of Sonoma, it's an impossibility. So allowing us this tool to capture what I call 20/20 vision and perfect recall, memory recall, and to provide that back to us after the fact is an incredible tool. When I first began here in 22, 23, we had a lot of unsolved cases. We had about 200 unsolved cases a year. What I can tell you is that today, every criminal case that has come up where a vehicle is involved and there's some piece of information about that vehicle, we are at 100% solution on those cases. That is an incredible opportunity, which is why I keep referring to the ALPR as the greatest thing since cell phones, because cell phones used to give us some of that. Technology multiplies our force, and then the big concern of the cameras being visible, and I'm going to show you a picture of them. You've probably seen them. I don't release publicly our mapping of where they are. I believe everybody on council probably has seen them and has an idea of where they are, but because it's a law enforcement database, I'm not required to release that piece of it publicly, but they are visible. I don't believe that they've caused any issues in our tourism. In fact, I think we have solved some cases that some tourists in our area have been victim of based on those cameras, and they are well aware of that, as we oftentimes will explain how we solve cases. Here's one of our cameras. This is what it looks like. This isn't one of our cameras, by the way. I didn't take it off a pole for this, and that license plate's not even a California plate. But just to give you an example of what it does is it takes a motion image as a vehicle travels past the camera. That everything that's captured in there utilizes the artificial intelligence of the system, which is designed by Flock in this case, and we are able to search it for a lot of different parts. So type of car being manufacturer of car, sedan, truck, whatever, the specifics we have of that vehicle, partial plates. So if someone says, I saw a vehicle and the last plate was 123, I can bring up all the 123 plates that passed by within a certain time frame, and I can identify suspects from that. This evidence is, it doesn't discriminate. There is no bias to it. It is specific to vehicle only. There's no people that are captured from it, even if it's a head-on camera towards a vehicle as the vehicle is approaching. The image, and you can see sort of in this image on the screen here, how you can't really make out any passengers inside of the vehicle. The only time, and the caveat is, the only time you'll see a person associated with the vehicle is if they're hanging out of the window. They're driving by with their body outside of that window, because the technology does not blur that out. But color, everything else, as well, we can search the database for when that particular vehicle has passed certain cameras through our network, and we'll talk more about that. It's license plate recognition. It gathers evidence, and this evidence, when we receive it, it's not treated as probable cause or a factual piece of information. It's reasonable suspicion at best. At the root of it, we treat it as a tip almost. So, for example, if we were to receive a stolen car hit of a vehicle that had passed one of our license plate readers, we first confirm that the plate was read correctly by the camera. Then we have to go and confirm that that plate is in fact the same one attached to the same vehicle that was stolen. All of that's done by radio through our patrol cars before we've even made contact with the vehicle itself. Then once we've confirmed all that, just like if I pulled in behind a stolen car driving down the street, then we can conduct our process of a traffic stop. But we don't have any law enforcement action based solely upon a flock or a license plate reader connection. What it isn't, it's not facial recognition. I already said there's no personal information attached to these hits, meaning that it doesn't connect to the Department of Motor Vehicles database, much like our CLETS computers do in our car, so I can run your plate. These do not connect to that in any way. It's not used for traffic enforcement. We don't have speed cameras on there. I know sometimes that's unfortunate, and we don't have stop sign. Thank you for the limit line throw out there earlier. It does not capture that data, and we cannot use it in traffic enforcement. The data is not stored beyond 30 days, so on the 31st day, it's automatically deleted. And on this, it says automatically deletes every 30 days. It's actually automatically deletes on the 31st day. And it's only accessible by those that we've given access to. And that's the big piece that's in the media right now that's been all over the place, is that Flock has somehow granted access to out-of-state or federal agencies. And I'll talk a little bit about it here in a minute, but the only way you can have access to our database, and I've been using this since the beginning, and I stood before you and I talked about the privacy of the database and how people can be granted. And I stand by that today, that if someone has access to the Sonoma camera database, it's because I personally gave it to them. The Flock system is very clear in the designations of how they allow the corporate side of their company to interact with our database. And our database is our database. If you read through the contract, which I believe you have a copy of, it was signed back in 23. The language hasn't changed in that. The data is still our data. For Flock to have access to it, we have to grant them access on a limited, as needed basis. It is not an automatic process that they can get into it. And therefore, they cannot provide access to anybody outside of our authorization for them. It's a proactive real-time alerts that we get. So on law enforcement cell phones, we get notifications when a crime vehicle is entered or past one of our cameras. It also is very helpful for us when we have an in-progress crime. We can immediately add that vehicle into our alert, and we can be notified when that vehicle passes our cameras, so that we know if we're still looking for a suspect within the city or externally outside. It's also, as I already said, our clearance rates are we're very successful on them. I don't have a number of how many unsolved we have today. That data is a little more difficult to mine through, But what I will say is, and I stand by it, we are 100% solution when there's a vehicle involved in crime in the city and we're able to have some piece of information about it. I'm not saying everybody gets prosecuted, but the solution is we understand who the suspect vehicle is in those cases. And we do believe that the cameras act as a good deterrent. There are a lot of databases that are online. If you do a Google search for flock or ALPR cameras around California, you'll find maps where people have added them. I don't think that these are law-abiding people that are looking for where the cameras are. I'm not traveling into a city concerned about necessarily where I'm seen. I understand there are a lot of law-abiding people that concern about the big brother aspect of this, but most of the people that would be looking for a map like that are looking for ways to commit crime without being detected. So I do believe our cameras are a fantastic deterrent as they are on the outskirts of the city. Privacy, I already explained. Our footage is owned by us, by you, the city. It's a 30-day retention. We don't go beyond the 30 days. Law allows us to go up to 90. There are several bills, and I talked initially about the AB 30 or SB 34 and 54 and how those are affecting how we do stuff. There have been several other bills that have recently made it up through the legislature. They haven't passed yet, but I've read the language in all of them, and I can say we're well under and we're well within the constraints that those Assembly or Senate bills from the California House will put on us, and we're still well within all of those standards. It takes the human bias out of this. So if there's concern of race or bias from law enforcement, this is a vehicle database. It is not a person database. And it's as reported back in 2023, all data is secured on a Amazon AWS cloud. I'm not a tech guy, but I know AWS cloud is an Amazon server, and the AES 256 encryption is how the data goes from the point of request to the point of receipt in our database, so that it is a secured transmission, so that couldn't possibly be intercepted and used. We always require a lawful reason to conduct a search, and that is all captured within our audit process, which I'll talk about in a minute. There's no facial recognition, there's no predictive policing, there's no PI&I, and we talk about that a lot because that is a very important point for the community. It's not used for traffic enforcement, and it's not connected to any outside databases. So I brought this slide up the last time, and I had some out-of-area representations of cases. This is sort of the types of cases that we've been solving in Sonoma with this. We do have a running log of cases, and I'd be happy to sit down and go through that with you. But the types of cases that are honestly the most often utilized for it, hit and run accidents. We don't have any unsolved hit and run cases in Sonoma, unless your car was hit at night when it was parked out front and nobody saw it and there's no cameras, no neighbor cameras to capture a vehicle. But even those, we've quite often been able to solve them depending on where they occurred on the vehicles that are traveling at that time. But most of these hit and run cases also don't end up in criminal prosecution. A lot of times when we are able to identify a suspect in a hit and run, especially in Sonoma during the day, a lot of these are accidental. Sometimes they're kids and they're scared. A lot of times they're elderly people who are involved in these and didn't notice they were in an accident. So we're able to civilly solve these so that we're not creating criminal prosecution on people when both parties are in agreement on it. Elder abuse and elder fraud cases, we've had a lot of those, and we actually have quite a few of them in this community on a monthly basis. When people show up at a person's home and they are asking for a cash payment to solve some situation that they're in, we still have a lot of people that fall for these scams. They almost always can remember the type of vehicle, or they have an image of it, and we're able to link that to our ALPR data based on the time that they came into town or left town. And we're able to do a lineup, so to speak, with that vehicle in front of them and solve that case. Most of these are coming out of these organized theft cases out of the Bay Area, and so our ALPR data is assisting other localities' ALPR data as well for these types of cases. Vandalism, domestic violence restraining orders, we get a lot of those, and it's always a he said, she said, or whatever the circumstances are. And with this data, we're able to say a lot of times a person did in fact enter the city of Sonoma where that protected person is after they've already made a statement, I haven't been near Sonoma. So believe it or not, that's actually a really great tool for those types of cases. Nighttime break-in and burglaries. Everybody has ring cameras or the different types of doorbell ring cameras, and those capture images of vehicles. It's sort of a footprint of a plate, and then we can use that data and compare it to LPR data, and we're able to solve a lot of those car burglaries and little things taken from porches and whatnot through our database. Retail theft, organized retail theft is a very large issue in the Bay Area. There were laws passed last year, or 2 years ago, excuse me, that were able to aggregate retail theft so that if you went into Safeway in Sonoma and only stole a couple $100 worth of stuff, but you had done that over 7 or 8 different municipalities and had that aggregate total went over the threshold for a felony, this is where our ALPR technology is fantastic because we can connect all the communities together. The DAs can negotiate which agency is going to or locality is going to prosecute those cases, and a lot of it is done through the ALPR technology. And then violent crimes, and I can't talk a lot about this one because it's still in the prosecution phase, but I do want to kind of bring up that in September of last year, we did have a very significant home invasion, very violent attack on an older couple living up on Wood Valley Road off Lowell Valley. And while that's not in the city limits, the suspects stole the victim's vehicle and traveled back into the city, through the city, and then into neighboring Santa Rosa. It was our ALPR technology that was able to locate the stolen vehicle that was taken in the crime as a whole, track it all the way into Santa Rosa, and utilize our tracking facility, our tracking option of the technology to identify the car that was directly behind it as it passed every camera, thus giving us the suspect. We then used ALPR technology to track that suspect up into a Lake County casino where they were subsequently arrested later that very same evening. So a lot of solution on that one case, and like I said, that is still going through the court, so I'm not going to get into all the details, but that's the overview of that one. And then 2 years ago, actually 3 years ago, 2 years ago now, we had a gentleman that was wreaking havoc around the downtown, stealing tables. He stole equipment from Little League, the Dutch Brothers tables on Broadway, right out of the ground, and they were actually bolted down. And that one, he made the mistake that he actually had to use his vehicle to get those tables home, and he passed one of our cameras on Broadway. And when he did so, we were able to identify the license plate and find out that he was actually a person living within the city. And we put 10 separate significant theft cases on him. We opened up 2 different storage facilities and found multiple other victims of other crimes that we didn't even know had existed because they hadn't been reported. That was a very significant case for this city and for ALPR. And then just crimes that occur in other jurisdictions. So we often get alerts that are based on Santa Rosa had a homicide. That suspect drove right through the city of Sonoma and was apprehended on the other side. Based on the ALPR and the rapidness at which they were able to put that license plate into the system, we were given the notice, and it was conducted within a few hours of the actual occurrence of the crime. So how many law enforcement agencies have been given the ability to search our data? And again, it's only retained for 30 days, so they can only search that 30 days worth of data. Big point, federal law enforcement agencies, none. They never have been given access. Out-of-state agencies, none. They have not been given access at all. And California law enforcement agencies, there are currently 313 agencies that have the ability to search our database. And those 313 agencies, I have personally given each of them the approval based on their in-state law enforcement status. And what is retained? So I talked about a minute ago the audit, and I mentioned that I've done some PRAs for about the last year and a half, and I've given data back to every single search. So the only data that's retained beyond the 30 days is that. So you can look and ask me for every single agency that's had a query, the date of their query, their user ID, what agency they are, the number of networks they searched for at that time, the specific time frame, the date and time, the reason being the crime, what crime had been committed that forced them to access that data. And that's for outside agencies. I can also do the same thing for all of our deputies and those who have law enforcement access from the Sonoma side of the house. Quite honestly, that's the presentation, and I know this is a topic that has made national attention, definitely statewide attention. And one thing I didn't include in my presentation is about 3 weeks ago, I went through and spent some time with the sheriff and the chief of Windsor, and we discussed some historical data on what agencies are being investigated or have been admonished for their sharing of data or inappropriate use of their own database. And while we have not had anybody breach our database for unlawful purposes that we've identified, we still went through and we actually removed, and I'm not going to name the agencies, but we did remove 9 agencies from access to our database based on the circumstances that they were going through, not because they accessed ours in an unlawful way, but just out of a full transparency. We are monitoring these situations as they arise, and as they are found to be credible or worth noting and paying attention to as an agency, we are limiting those access points for those people if they've been found at fault.
Very good. Thank you for that presentation. And now I'll bring back to the dais. Does anyone here have any questions for the presenter? Please.
Yeah, thank you very much for that presentation. I actually asked you this question earlier, so it's kind of the same question. I really appreciate all the information you were able to give me when we met, is if there were to be an instance where we felt as if there was some way either the data was being hacked or federal agencies were able to get, someone else was controlling the data besides you, and there was an agency that was not legally able to have the data, that got the data, that what our ability is to be able to disconnect. And so you answered me, but I was just going to ask you to answer that too.
There's two aspects to it. There's a fiscal aspect to it, or a financial aspect, and then an access aspect. The aspect of access is instantaneous. I can go in and turn off whomever or all. It is a click of a button. The data is the back end, the administrative side of this database is, it's a very simple database to use, which is why I say if someone's had access, it's because I've given it to them, and we can turn that off at any point.
Thank you.
Yes.
Please.
My question is simple. Can you explain in detail precisely for that is automatically deleted after 30 days?
So it's a part of their programming, and we've tested it a lot. We actually test it quite a bit. And we have found that at the 24th hour on the 30th day, it is no longer queryable, and it has disappeared from the database. And the programming they have is that it will delete it from the server at that 24th hour on the 30th day.
Thank you. And by law, it is allowed in the 90 days. So you choose in the 30 days based on what your preference.
Yes. So when we first started this program, it was actually at a year. The data could have been stored for a year. What's acceptable and what the law allows aren't often married that way. We looked a lot at the data, and from a law enforcement tool, I looked at it as in our community, this is a significant vacation community. So there's a lot of people that live here that travel. There's a lot of people that travel here as second homes and whatnot. So understanding that less than 30 days might not be reasonable in that somebody may not discover a crime has occurred to their car, their home, or whatever for that time, and or there is always the stigma of reporting to police crimes and being a victim. A lot of people don't want to be victims, and so they hold off on reporting until it's the point they need to. So we allowed 30 days because we think that's a reasonable time for everybody to realize or report that they've been a victim of a crime. 90 days may be on the far end of what I would call reasonable for somebody to make that report. And say you reported it on the 28th day, and I have enough information that I can identify the vehicle. What we do is we take that data, which is stored on the server, we conduct a download through the server, and we create it as an evidence item for a case. And so it gets booked into our sheriff's office evidence room, the same as every other piece of evidence does. And it's offline. It is no longer a piece of flock data. It is now criminal evidence in a case. So the way we see it, 30 days is the perfect time. One of the recent bills, and I may be wrong, I think it's SB 240, that did not pass. I believe it was vetoed by the governor recently. That bill was trying to limit the time from 90 days to 60 days. So when I said we're well within the regulation of a lot of proposed bills, we are at 30. And I stand strong that 30 days is an appropriate time.
Thank you so much.
Very good. Any questions on this side?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple questions. Since this controversy or alleged controversy has come up, are there any cities, jurisdictions that have actually canceled the contracts?
So I don't know the answer to your question in wholeheartedly. I know that there are agencies, I believe Mountain View being
Mountain View,
one, that had suspended their contract. I do not know the outcome of that yet. We don't share data with them at this time, so I don't know if their database is...
That was the only one that I was able to find, so thank you. I know that many councils have debated it, but you know they haven't necessarily stopped it. Can you let us know if there are any other alternatives to this particular company that would be available should we not do this one?
Yes, there are. So this is a sole source company for us for the type of technology being the way the camera senses the vehicle and what it reads. So there are other companies that are infrared based. One of the older companies that's been around for a significant amount of time, Vigilant, was created back in, I think, around 2007. It was one of the original law enforcement cameras. And that particular technology is what most of the bridges use, where it's infrared, meaning it needs and it requires the reflective material of the license plate to read and receive that image of the license plate. It is limited to just the outskirts of the license plate generally, although the technology has gotten a little better and it does capture a little bit more of the vehicle. I don't know about their AI technology and querying types of vehicles through that database without license plates. But what you see as a result of the bridges and the tolls going off this ALPR technology where it's using the infrared, you'll see it all the time when you drive down the street. Somebody has power sprayed off or pressure washed off the reflective material on their license plate. Yes, it is not lawful to do that. But what it oftentimes does is it makes that ALPR camera disregard that plate because it can't read it. Mm-hmm. And so it doesn't align. So that technology is what I would refer to as outdated for what the city of Sonoma uses and what we need here. There are other up-and-coming companies that are using similar technologies to Flock. But I would say that with our technology in place and our camera locations as we have them, there isn't anything that would replicate what we're doing right now with the technology, the AI technology on the back end that we can utilize in the search query. I can't say the same will be the case in 3 years down the road. I'm sure there's going to be competitors, and privacy is going to be the claim of any new company starting up today, because that's the concern of reasonable concern of most of the community members.
Right. And my final question is, and I don't know if you can answer this, but, you know, obviously there's been a very public alleged kidnapping of a TV personality's mother. In a situation like that, how would this technology be useful or not?
So I'm not a part of that investigation, but I certainly, the first thing I looked at was to see if they had flock cameras, and they don't. So that would have been an instantaneous solution to that problem if theirs was designed like ours. If somebody went missing from within the city of Sonoma externally, we have a database of vehicles that have left the city, and we can utilize that database for criminal investigations, which that one specifically is. We did have a recent concern of what came out as a child kidnapping, and it was not. And almost immediately upon arrival, our deputies found the person, and it was not as reported. But when it first came out, we had 2 supervisors that were sitting at a computer just waiting to start searching license plates. So that will be, if something that bad happens here, that will be the technology that we will go to first, even beyond the human eye of recognition of a plate.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no more questions, I will then bring it to the public and then open it up for public comment at this time. So our sparse public, come forward if you wish. Seeing no movement, I'll bring it back to the dais for possible discussion and or motion. Please.
So I'd just like to make a comment, because I do believe that the safety factor of utilizing this technology outweighs whatever risks there are. And in my discussions and my limited understanding, I do have some of technology. I used to have to research companies to make sure that the data of our clients was safe. So I have some understanding of how that works and what people need to do to make sure that you're auditing on a regular basis and you're testing. And it's, you know, the risk that there could be of someone accessing this data without illegally, I think is very, very small. Everything comes with some risk, so yeah, there is some minimal risk there, but the safety, you know, factor that we have a population that is elderly, and elderly populations are targeted for criminal acts, that we have a population of tourists, and I think of many of our young bachelorette parties that come to our community, that they're often vulnerable because I know they bump into me walking down the street, so clearly they're not seeing well. Who knows what else is happening? But, and then, of course, second homes. People, you know, that there's a significant number of second homes, so that individuals know, you know, that there's homes here, that there's people that aren't here, and even if they have some kind of security system, you know, there's often people that are going to either know their way around that or, you know, disregard that. So I just think, I think it's important for us to make, as a council, to talk about this, you know, that there are concerns. We understand the concerns, but our safety concerns clearly override whatever very minimal risk there is. And that the fact that if something were to happen, we can immediately disengage from flock. So, and it is, and I think I always like to reemphasize, flock is just the system. It is not, you know, the perpetrator of a criminal act. It would be someone else using the system to try to do, you know, try to illegally use it. And it's really the system of who manages it here, and the guidelines that the sheriff departments have that were very thorough. So I felt like, you know, I feel like the safety factor is very, very high, and this is a beneficial software for us to be using.
Thank you.
Well, I think that was well said, especially about the bachelorette parties. I hadn't heard that one before, but we do, you know, they do bring in a great economy, so we like them. We love them. So I think your comments, all of your comments were well taken. I mean, it's a scary time for all of us that are very concerned about vulnerable populations within our county, within our city, and all over this country, that we are afraid of somehow a segment of our community being adversely affected by something that is there to ostensibly protect all of us. And that is, it breaks my heart that we're in that situation, that everything that we have to design to protect lawful citizens, lawful residents, visitors to our country should be designed to protect everybody. And it's the questions that came up are justified because we've seen examples where things have gone haywire, you know. So so it does give us pause and I think it was very thoughtfully presented tonight to show us all of this information. I think taking away this tool from a community that has shown to have had great benefit would be a mistake. But I also concur with my colleague, Ms. Farrar-Rivas, that should anything happen that compromises this in any way, I will be actively pushing whatever button it is to get this thing out of here, because we can't have that. It has to be something that protects all of us, not some of us, all of us. So I will be voting to support this. I think that the example of the tragedy that happened in Arizona, it could happen anywhere. If something like that ever happened here and we had taken away a tool to be able to find the perpetrator or perpetrators of such a thing, then shame on us. The number one thing, I've said this many times from this dais, is that our number one thing is to protect the safety of the people who live here, the people who visit here. And this is a piece of safety, and we have to do it. So, but that we will be mindful of abuses, and I think that's fair. Thank you.
I don't know what I could add to this conversation other than from a cost-benefit perspective, it's more effective perhaps than hiring additional police officers and much more affordable. So, I think it's an excellent technology. I wish it was around years ago when I was doing law enforcement, and I agree that if it should be abused, I would expect that we'll be made aware of that, and we'll take appropriate action. So, thank you.
And thank you again. I really appreciate that you are doing research, study, and try to 100% compliant with the state laws and also our local ordinance. That is very important. In my idea, I think if we adopt any new tools, equipment before the policy, we will risk losing our public and trust. However, this time is renewed. We already, know this new technology. So during the past couple of years, I didn't heard a lot of the extremely concerns. So that means our local residents can accept, and also we are very open-minded in this town. Very well educated. They know technology is going forward, and we should adapt it. So being on the city council, what we can do, we study more and build up and a good policy. Who can use, how to manage it, and these kind of the details, I think we can improve it little by little when we are using this. I totally agree, and Patricia saying if we find anything wrong, and we just stop, we find another alternative one. I so much appreciate it. I will support this project. Thank you.
My brief comment before I solicit a motion is that I appreciate the transparency that has not only been expressed this evening, but has been taking place without our knowledge in terms of testing, verifying, kibitzing, whatever you want to call it, but making sure that the promises that this system claims you're still feeling comfortable with. So I move forward with great confidence, and should there be a concern that happens, we'll bring it back to the dais for for discussion and take action if need be. So with that, I would like to ask for a motion.
I move approval.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Further discussion? None. Roll call, please. Yeah.
Councilmember Farrar-Rivas,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lowe,
Aye.
Councilmember Ding,
Aye.
Councilmember Gurney,
Yes.
Mayor Wellander.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Very good. Thank you again. Are we good for, we getting restless? Are we getting restless or are we okay? Okay. We'll sit tight. So with that, we're going to then move right into 9.2, which is to adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a contract that will provide facility security upgrades, and then also authorizing a budget amendment of about $75,000, additional expenditures from the long-term building maintenance fund. And with that, I will turn it over to our Public Works Director. Please.
Thank you, Mayor Wellander. Good evening, Council. Tonight, I'm bringing you a camera security item. Number 2. So, bear with me. This project is City Facility Security Upgrades, Project CAP-BF 11. And tonight, I'm going to be talking to you about these 4 subjects. First, start off with a little project history and formation of the project, then go into scope of work, procurement methods, and the funding. A little project history and the formation of the project. The project was created with FY 25-26 budget, the FY 25-26 budget, and this project CAP-BF 11 addresses the security concerns that we are tasked trying to fix, which are our facilities currently have no cameras and traditional lock and key. Safety security concerns were reported in the last year regarding entry into and out of facilities during hours of operation with limited measures in existing facilities. And there were a couple of items that happened in this chamber that we're trying to address with security upgrades. City staff initiated a project with Verkada after we looked into several different options and had discussions with our Sonoma Valley Unified School District that has a Verkada security camera system, and the City of Sonoma Police Department that works with the school district to monitor activity at the school district that comes up on the camera. And we didn't just stop there. We also, community development and public works worked together on the formulation of this contract, Jennifer and myself. We also worked with Parks and Rec Director, the Finance Director, the City Attorney, the Chief Building Official, the City Manager, our electrical on-call engineers who have a low voltage communication specialist on staff, and he advised us on a few very key and specific low voltage specifications to incorporate into the contract. And then also KLH, our IT provider. I forgot to pass that slide. I apologize for that. Scope of work on this project. The sites that are covered are Carnegie Library, where Parks and Rec and Finance are currently housed, City Hall, this building, council chambers / the police department, and the Public Works Corporation yard. The technology we're proposing are Verkada cameras to be installed along with key card readers and updated door hardware for access control. We won't be doing door hardware for this facility, but all the other 3 facilities have door hardware and access control, which will be basically key card controlled and very easy for us to turn off a key card. You can't lose your key card and somebody else finds it and uses it. We can turn it off as soon as it gets lost and provide a new key card to the person that lost it or it got damaged. A couple slides that I have to just show the coverages that we're going to be doing and the items we're going to be installing. At the Carnegie Library, Site 1, we have 3 cameras we're installing and 1 access control in the back door at the park level, not the one at the top of the stairs. So we'll have a camera at the front door, a camera at the back door, and a camera on the interior. At Site 2, City Hall, we've got 4 cameras, 2 exterior that are mounted in the eaves, low visibility. They can barely be seen, but they are up there and they can be seen. They are not on a drop-down rod, just to try to protect the aesthetics and historical nature of the facility. You've got 2 cameras in the eaves on opposite sides of the building that are basically getting you a 360-degree view of everything that's happening around City Hall. And then also 2 cameras inside, 1 towards the front door and 1 towards the back door, that are catching people going into and out of the facility. I take that, 2 cameras inside and then 1 access control door at the back of City Hall that employees will use. The next location is this building, which there will be a camera outside above that door that'll catch the entire parking lot. And then also 1 camera in that corner right there that'll basically be looking out onto the entire room. And then a 3rd camera on the other side of that wall that's going to be able to capture all the people that are in the exterior portion there. The last location is location 4, which is the courtyard. We've got 2 cameras located on the shop at opposite corners. 1 on another corner of the shop, which is going to capture people that would go into or out of the back door of the office, and then 1 camera on the office in the front. There's key card access at the front door of the office, right off of 8th Street, and then also key card access into the shop. And so what we're going to do is we're going to eliminate all lock and key mechanisms to get into the shop. The doors will still open, but the 1 door will be the door that employees go in and out of, and the other doors will be able to open from the inside only. So they can be unlocked from the inside easily, but not key locked from the outside. I just want to take the next slide and go over the procurement method that we followed for this contract. For CADA, the camera maker and key card maker, they have a contract through CMAS, the California Multiple Award Schedule, which is the Department of General Services with the state of California's co-op. And our procurement policy encourages us to purchase through pre-approved co-ops. Verkada Portola pricing, these prices have been assessed to be fair, reasonable, and competitive, and we are getting a knockdown from the industry going price by purchasing through CMAS. We're getting a deduction. The city's purchasing policy, like I previously said, it allows for cooperative purchasing and actually encourages it as a means to save money on doing RFPs. Verkada's CMAS agreement lists Portola Systems, our installer, as an eligible installer. Suppliers and installers that are part of this program must agree to the state's terms before a contract can be issued. On the next slide, regarding budget, the funding, the current Project budget is 150,000. This was authorized, like I said earlier, as part of the 25-26 approved budget. The estimated project cost is coming in at $224,000. That includes the 194 for the Verkada contract, Verkada Portola, 8750, which is a time and materials component for our electrical engineer, who will be doing some inspections and a little bit of oversight during the construction, and has given us a lot of advice on moving the project forward. We paid $2,000 to have Verkada come crawl through all of our nooks and crannies at City Hall and Carnegie. They looked at this building, which was a lot easier, and then went out to the courtyard also and came up with a comprehensive list of RFI questions that they turned into us. We turned it back to them, and they answered all of those questions prior to putting together a scope and cost for the project. And then we threw a contingency in there too, so just in case they were a little bit over, I don't have to come back. Now, additional funding for the project, in addition to the 150,000, is the 74,250 32 cents out of the LTBM that we're asking for the budget item switch tonight. And I would be remiss if I didn't just talk a little bit about the privacy aspects of the fact that we're putting cameras in and we're taking video of people. Public Works has worked with and had correspondence with the city attorney, the chief of police, the city manager's office, community development director, and Verkada on this item, and we take this very seriously. We're going to develop a policy. We've already started that, speaking with the city manager's office today, and we're going to be bringing that to this council for approval prior to turning the system on. So this is in the works, and it's something that we're thinking about. With that, I'm going to go ahead and just introduce a couple other people that are here tonight. We have Ryan Miller in the audience from Portola Systems, here to answer any questions. And then also on Zoom, we have Adam Janson and Sienna Steinbach from Verkada. And then, of course, we've got Ashley Cotter, the admin and project manager with Public Works, to help me out if there's any hard questions. So with that, I'll turn it back.
Okay, thank you very much. So with that, do we have some questions up here at the dais? Please, John.
All right, well, thank you for answering my first question, which was policy. So that's underway, but who's going to actually manage the system and be responsible?
That's under discussion. I have my my thoughts about who should do it, and it'd be one of the people either in Public Works or Community Development. And I have to talk to Jennifer about that and kind of vet. We have a person who's been designated as someone who's in charge of communications, IT, things like that. And so I'm thinking that would probably be the right person, but she's not in my department, and I'm going to have that conversation with Jennifer as we move this forward.
Okay. Where will the data be, the recorded data be stored?
In the cloud.
In the cloud?
In the cloud, yeah. Okay. And like the system that Chief talked about earlier, we'll have access to that. We've actually gone through, working with the attorney, we came up with quite a few questions along those lines that are going to be addressed and looked into as we craft this policy for use. And data storage, who gets access to the data, how we access the data, how flexible it is for us to set the terms of the duration the data is kept. And all the indications from Verkada are that they're very flexible. We're probably going to, we've already taken a look at Sonoma County Sheriff's policy, albeit that's for a completely different entity and a completely different set of circumstances. But we're going to use policies like that in order to craft our policy, go with a 30-day retention period and things like that.
Okay. Well, now with the system that you're proposing, what kind of growth potential do you have with it, adding cameras?
That came up early on, and I feel that that's pretty flexible to add cameras. Yeah, and I want to also touch base too that this is a 10-year all-inclusive contract that we're signing up for. There are no additional costs.
ongoing maintenance?
Those will be addressed under the terms and conditions of each warranty. And there's probably 5 or 6 different classifications of materials that can be warrantied. And what we're doing, currently working on, is assembling all those warranties into a spreadsheet to just make sure that we understand the terms and conditions of each one. I got a feeling that after the first year, there's going to be potential labor costs associated if a camera breaks and a tech has to come out and put a new camera up. That's pretty standard for this type of item.
All right. For the corporation yard, if I understand how that's organized, there's a gate that you have to enter.
Yeah.
And did you consider doing a card reader on that gate?
Yes, we did. And that's part of a separate project, one that council's been briefed on. That's the Sonoma County Transit joint project that we're working on for the electric bus. That gate is going to get put in, and that's going to have card reader / vehicle identification and little, there's 3 or 4 different options that we have to get people in the front of the gate. And the new gate is on track to probably get built in the next 6 months. We're just going through a second iteration of our application with PG&E. As soon as that gets done, we can get into some serious license agreements with Sonoma County Transit. As soon as that gets done, we're going to authorize the construction for the gate project to start. And that's going to get paid 50-50 between us and Sonoma County Transit.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Gurney. Those were a lot of my questions, but one I did have is, one of the things I always think about when I walk into City Hall and go upstairs to meet with the city manager is I almost always, but not always, check in with folks that are downstairs just to let them know that that door opening that they heard was me going up there and not just someone else. But I don't know if anybody else, but I know, but there's not going to be, people will still be able to walk in the front of City Hall and walk upstairs and without potentially being noticed who's coming in or out. But is that where there would be a camera there?
That's correct.
But there's no, you're not going to have a door, there's no door there.
No card reader. The
No
doors will
card
be
reader.
opened just like they are 8 to 5 typically now. The one door. Yeah, but then the camera will be able to capture people in the entryway going into City Hall.
Yeah, I just wonder if there's any thought to how you actually have some other process for, the people that, where it says only authorized people, that there's some way to protect that there's only authorized people going up there, because, as we're doing all of this, it's unfortunate that we have to live in a paranoid world, but unfortunately that's where we are today. But, that's the concern, is that someone could, an authorized person who is disgruntled with what has been going on in the city could go up there, go upstairs and, maybe not do anything but disturb people in their work or whatever. So I'm just that's one of my other concerns. I know it may not be addressed here, but just.
Well, and this is a good point, and we have had conversations about this, and I would consider this the first step. And one of the reasons we went with this system was because the chief promoted this as a very user-friendly, interactive system that he could gain access to cameras at Sonoma Valley Unified School District very easily and just make work happen. And so that was a really good report. We want to, get him involved in this. We've been talking to him about that, and we're looking really forward to being able to, have the right people being able to access this data quickly if they want to, need to. Yeah.
So I'll just jump in. We intend to keep the sign still downstairs to have people still check in at the front counter. We had a trial camera for quite a while that was set up downstairs, and so every time we installed the doorbell ourselves too. So every time we would hear that, we have a camera, a video set up on an iPad, and so everybody can just look or on their screen. and they can see who walked in. And so if somebody walked in and they just went straight upstairs, we could see who they were. And so then we know, all right, friendly face, known entity versus an unknown. Unknown, we can immediately call upstairs, text Brandon, etc. We can do all those things. So that's still the intent is to do the please come talk to us before you go upstairs, have the sign still there, but people still ignore the signs and go upstairs. So this way we know, and we have that comfort level, since as you all know, at the front counter, we can't see the front door. And so that was the idea by putting it at that front door.
Thank you for that.
Any comments?
Where is that in the company located? In Sonoma, in Santa Rosa, right? Do they have the office or technical person in Sonoma?
Verkada is located in the Bay Area, and the nearest office for Portola is Santa Rosa. Yeah, and I've heard really good reports about Verkada's response to issues with the cameras. And so I hear that their customer service is really good, and I would think that Portola's is just as good because they're coming in highly recommended.
Great, thank you.
I was going to put this in my comments, but I think it is kind of a flaw in the system that people at the front desk can't see who's going upstairs. I appreciate the camera being there, but I'm wondering if there's just some way that either a mirror, or somehow could go to the front desk, or there could be some sort of reorganization. I mean, I know it would take a lot, but I just think of every business I've ever worked at or for, and there's always some sort of, someone behind a desk somewhere that greets you, if for no other reason, to make sure you're at the right place. So that's more of a comment, which I was going to make later, but I think that there is still some work to do on that. Thank you.
These are great comments, and like I said, this is stage one. We're going to work on this and make things better from here.
Okay, a couple of quick questions. Will this replace that obnoxious buzzer at the front door? Will you add this to phase 2 and see what we can do about not having an obnoxious buzzer like Friedman's Purchase, please? Oh,
It was a Freedman's Purchase.
I know that, but I do believe shop local, but this is a case where you did do well, so.
It is the only way in which we knew somebody was walking in the front door. So if we can figure out another means by which staff can be notified, then we can look into that.
Great. This is project related. Your gut feeling on expending the 10% contingency, high, low? You did a lot of homework as far as research and crawling up in the attic. So what's your comfort level?
I feel real comfortable we're going to be well below that. And basically it's because we did that initial interaction with Verkada or with Portola and just we went through all the nooks and crannies. Yeah.
Great. Great.
So yeah, I'm confident I can beat that.
And
easy.
then would you just reiterate, please, you've intimated it as far as the coordination and the value between the police department, the fact they have it going on with the school, and that there's just this kind of unifying communication, which I think will all benefit the whole town.
Totally agree. And that's what got us pointed in this direction in the first place.
Okay.
Because, and I mean, the original meetings that we had, Brandon was at all of them. And basically, this is a lot of people coming together to put this item in front of you tonight. And it's been vetted. We've been thorough. We've gone down a couple of different avenues. And we're pretty comfortable with where we landed.
Thank you. So if we have nothing more up here, then I'd like to turn and open it up
Mayor,
to,
can I make
yes.
just a quick comment? In previous conversations we've had as recently as today in terms of the funding, I just want to clarify, I was mistaken. The funds for this, the additional $74,000 are coming out of the long-term building maintenance fund as presented tonight. is not going to dip into the reserves at this point. So just so you know that what's happening now is
Great.
you're drawing down the long-term building maintenance. If we need to come back and address reserves, that'll happen during the budget process for addressing that fund. So
Great.
just clarification.
No, thank you, thank you. So with that, I'd like to then open it up to the public. If they'd like the one public person would like to come forward and speak, they can. If not, we'll bring it back here for further discussion. Yes, please.
Just a couple comments on this. This is very, extremely well needed. And I don't know if it's enough or, as I said in my earlier comment about having some sort of reception area or something like that. I've spent a lot of time, as most of you know, working with people that are either elected or in some sort of office or agency or and have been witness to and have read just the most amazing amount of vitriol and so forth and frightening people. One of my previous employment places was subject to a bomb scare. I think people don't realize that, when you become an elected person, even on the city council, and, and everybody loves us and we're wonderful, of course, but there are people out there that are they basically dehumanize people who are in these positions, and they feel that they have complete agency to say some of the most horrendous things and even threaten, so forth. So our staff, I'm deeply concerned. They are on the first line. When I received a threatening letter, and Chief Cutting was kind enough to come to my house. I never had cameras. I do now. I made a call to Congressman Thomsen, and I just said, what do you think about all this? And listen to this horrible thing that someone just wrote to me, et cetera, et cetera. Well, he then proceeded to tell me about a half an hour of some of the most hair-raising, horrible stories I've ever heard. People parked outside his house, his staff being threatened and so forth. And I share this because I really want the community to know that our staff is so important to me because we are nothing without them. And everything that we can do to make sure they're okay and safe, I am for that. Because I have seen what's on the other side of people's aggression over the years, and I don't want anybody to be facing that. And that's why I think this may be a good first step, but let's make sure that everybody that works for us, because when they're yelling at them, they're just really mad at us, really. And so they're taking it. And I don't want that to happen. So thank you for doing this first step, but anybody who walks in that door should be seen, should be figured out, are you in the right place? If not, help, maybe they're looking for the library. I don't know. Help them out and make sure we know who in the hell they are before they walk up those stairs or talk to any of our staff. So I think we're, good first step. Let's keep going. Our staff is very important. They are us for the public. Thank you.
I want a discussion. Yes. Absolutely.
In addition to my law enforcement background, I was in private industry doing security things. And it seems to me, if your intention is to put a card reader to get into City Hall after hours, that it would be very easy to add an additional card reader with a security gate preventing people from going upstairs unless they have a card to access. And then they make really nice protective barriers that you could install for the people downstairs as a first point of contact that are not necessarily beautiful. So anyhow, but the technology is there, and I don't even think it would be terribly expensive for those two kinds of items. Of course, that would mean you'd have to give us access cards. You may not want to do that, but I'm just saying. All right.
Okay, this side.
No, I just agree with all of the comments that were made so far, and really emphasizing, that's great work on what has been done so far and the research and all of that, but, it's a narrow passageway. I mean, there's just things about that bring concern for people someone going upstairs, which once they're upstairs, you're kind of in a contained area where, you just feel like that the safety of the people upstairs, you just worry about it a bit more. So, thank you. Let's follow up on Councilmember Gurney's suggestions, or, maybe there's a new robot that could just greet everybody at the door and say, "Welcome to Sonoma City Hall," Could be
No robots.
Could be Vallejo.
Veto robots.
Mr. Ding?
I'm okay. Yeah, I agree, our fellows.
Super. I agree with what has been shared about the importance of protecting staff. I argue that we are something without them, aren't we? But anyway, that's for another discussion. I think though too is that we need to recognize that even with all this, there are still evil out there. There's ill will out there, and it could come. I don't care how many cameras we have. So I just like the fact that this system apparently is going to allow a quicker response or a quicker action or what have you. So I think that's very, very valid. And as most know, I am not a techie, but it seems like the simplicity of having some sort of monitor in the front room that is got a camera that's constantly showing this of everybody that's coming in would be a fairly simple thing to provide. That if whether Jade is there or whoever, that if there's a constant up high and aesthetically positioned, that that might be a possibility. But again, I think good first step. Thank you for the clarity on where the money's coming from. I had some concerns, and that now has disappeared. And so with that, I'd like to ask if there's a motion, please.
I move to adopt the resolution of the City of the Sonoma Council authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with the Portola for $194,091.20 for facility security updates, CIPBF-11, authorizing $19,409.12, 10% in contingency, and authorizing the budget amendment for $74,250.32 in additional expenditure from the long-term building maintenance fund.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Farrar-Rivas,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lowe,
Aye.
Councilmember Gurney,
Yes.
Councilmember Ding,
Aye.
Mayor Wellander.
Yes,
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
very good. Now, we're turning to our last scheduled item, and that is 9.3. Adopt a resolution approving an employment agreement appointing Christine
Alievich.
Alovic.
I thought it was changed. Oh, excuse me. Well, I'm going to modify it. Appointing Christine as interim city manager effective April 6, 2026, and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement when blessed by David Guillen. So with that, I would love to have some comment from our city manager.
Great, thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to give a little background on this item. The City Council has decided to bring on an interim city manager to bridge the gap essentially between my departure and identifying a permanent city manager for the city of Sonoma. In order to do that, we received direction from the City Council to identify potential candidates for you to review. I did reach out to ICMA and other resources around to identify any interested parties. That list was whittled down to those that had the time that fit the schedule that we had. I brought forward to you candidates for your review. Those candidates were whittled down again, and you interviewed a couple of those candidates. Out of that process, you did select Christina Leivich as the interim city manager for the city of Sonoma. The contract before you is an employment contract, similar to what the contract I have with you as a city. It includes salary, includes the medical benefits, but is a very bare bones version of that agreement due to its interim nature. The contract is at will, so the council can end the contract at any time, but the intention of that contract is to have her provide you city manager services through hiring of a new permanent city manager. Christine comes to you from San Rafael, who a number of years at San Rafael, most recently as a city manager there, dealing with a lot of complex issues that we deal with here. She also has worked at this county of Marin and the county of Sonoma. She does have a finance background, which is a really good skill to have right now, as we are right in the middle of budget season and bringing you forward a budget to approve in June. So the timeline of her term here will involve bringing you that budget, the next year fiscal budget. She's very well respected by her peers in the industry. I know many of you have heard from some of her peers in the industry. I have talked to many of them. They're very excited to have her in this role and excited that the council has selected her in this role. I am very confident that she can serve you and support staff through this interim period. And I'm excited to introduce Christina Leivich, who is here as well tonight. If you have any questions for her, or if she wants to introduce herself, if you'd like to request that, Mayor, you can. I'll turn that to you. But with that said, I'm at this point going to turn it over to you. If you have any questions for me on the process or how that worked, I'm happy to go into that further, or you can ask Christine any questions you have.
Do we have any questions for our city manager? And with that, we'd like to welcome our new interim, our anticipated new interim, to the podium, please.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, we actually have music in that crowd at the beginning of every meeting.
Well, I'm really excited about that. I really love live music, so I'm looking forward to that. Good evening, Mayor, council members, staff, community. I'm really honored to be here tonight and for the opportunity to serve your amazing city. It's a really special place. As you know, I lived in Sonoma County for many years in the valley here, and so I feel really honored and excited. I'm ready to go. David's been amazing. I want to thank him for getting me up to speed and welcoming me, helping me kind of, so I can hit the ground running. I just want to assure you that you've got a lot of things in motion. We're going to keep things moving and keep, a steady leadership through this transition time. And that's it. I just wanted to thank you for giving me the opportunity, and really looking forward to working with all of you and all the great staff. And I wish David well at the county as well.
Excellent. Before she leaves the podium, any thoughts? I have just one. The vote would be totally predicated on no 17-story buildings in our town.
Yes, sir.
So, and at this point, we're going to open it up back to the one individual still considered public, and I see no movement. And good.
Robert Demler, First Street West, Sonoma. I set a personal record last council meeting by not speaking. And I was going to go for 5 meetings, but Madam Council Member Farrar-Rivas triggered my mind tonight to speak. I learned a new concept, limit line. But I would also like to introduce another new concept of visual line. sometimes they don't match. I'm not sure how many in the city are like that, but if you will go east on Maple Street from First Street West to Broadway, you have to go out past the pedestrian lane into the traffic lane to be able to see. So I would suggest that our outgoing city manager or our incoming interim city manager allow Mike Berger, as head of Public Works, to buy some more red paint for the curbs so we can see. And by the way, I totally agree with the entry into City Hall. And I would also suggest that you hire some of the retirees in town to be like Walmart greeters, to stand at the front door and say, "Welcome to City Hall, may I help you?"
Would you be willing to be the first one?
I would be at a pro bono, of course,
So
and
in
I
order
won't wear a costume.
In order to not get in trouble, because this is technically not the second opportunity for public comment, would you say something positive about our
Yeah,
anticipated
he
new
tied
city
the
attorney?
first point
That
in.
was pretty weak. I want mine a little bit more specific. About the our new interim city manager. That was what was on the agenda.
Oh, well, I'm very impressed that she would marry a Bosnian, because I lived in Bosnia for 4 years. So anybody that would
Stay on
do
track.
that and put up with a Bosnian can put up with this crowd.
Very
Thank
good.
you and welcome.
Thank you. Okay. Now we're going to bring it back. We, again, are looking. No, I wanted him to get back on track, so sorry. He was. Anyway, so with that, we've received our public comments, and we don't need staff to respond, but we need discussion up here. So any more thoughts? And if not, then I'm soliciting, again, a motion.
Oh, I would be very happy to move to have an agreement signed between our city manager and our new interim, Christine Alilovich. There we go.
And I would be proud to second that. Thank you.
Further discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Farrar-Rivas,
Very excitedly, yes.
Vice Mayor Lowe,
Aye.
Councilmember Ding,
Aye.
Councilmember Gurney,
Yes.
Mayor Wellander.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Welcome aboard. So, I do believe I'm going to skip 10 because it doesn't have any merit, so we're going straight on to 11 unless there's objection. I adjourn this meeting. I didn't know.